We're still making the case for agriculture here on Wall Street Confidential, and I've got my main man, Jim Cramer, here. Tell me a little bit more about some stocks that have been going pretty high. Potash, Agrium.
Like oil, people seem to confuse what's driving the fertilizer stocks. I say that because oil is not in long supply. It's in short supply. People tend to look at it as demand play. And as it gets in shorter supply, you're willing to pay more for natural gas. Ag is very similar. You want to look at the end markets, and the famine worldwide is a very good demand call. Obviously sad, but good demand call. But the far more important thing is that there's been a drought and there's been supply problems. We knew that was affecting wheat, and we knew it was affecting soy, and we knew it was affecting, most importantly, corn. What had not been affecting was rice, which is a very important staple. We lost rice in the last 2 weeks. I mean, rice is just not being produced. There was a big failure of the rice crop. And when you have that, there's no other staples left. So you have the dramatic need for all industrialized countries that have land that can be farmed to create a greater yield. And the only way to create a greater yield is to buy more fertilizer. Now, what people have to realize when they talk about fertilizer is that there's demonstrable, and it's all on the web and every one of these company sites, there's a demonstrable evidence that there's a ratio, an historic ratio. If I spend $1 and these are made up numbers, okay, but if I spend $1 for fertilizer, I can increase my crop by $1.25, okay? Let's just say that. Sometimes it's like $1.50. But in other words, for a bump up in fertilizer, say, of $0.10 in cost, and they keep bumping up fertilizer, you might be able to get 25 cents more for your crop, particularly in an atmosphere where there's famine and where there's crop failures away. So it's just a mathematical construct, and I think what people keep missing is they figure there must be some level where fertilizer can top out. But with oil at 117, which then causes, and with no other than Spodman's comments on Friday, which was very much at odds with what he's been saying over and over again, with ethanol still in mandated demand, then you know that the fertilizer equation that matters is that additional amount of fertilizer to the additional amount of yield. And as long as that yield remains a positive one for the farmer, then you have to buy these stocks.
Has that yield ever been negative? I mean, it's always
been negative for years and years and years. I mean,
so suddenly
it's always been negative. I mean, fertilizer is like refining. It was just a really, really bad business. I once had a big chunk. I owned a big stake in a company called Becker, which was one of the biggest fertilizer makers in the country. And for years and years and years, it was like gypsum wallboard. You could put up a factory very quickly. All that's changed. There's only a few sources of fertilizer. We've burned through all the sources. It's, again, a scarce commodity. Chile's got some. Canada's got a lot. United States has some. Russia's got some. But that's about it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jim Cramer. This is Wall Street Confidential. Don't go away.